All right, Diego Pacheco is here, 168-pound contender, back in action this Saturday against Maciej Sulecki. That's a fight you can watch in person at Dignity Health or watch live on DAZN. Diego coming off a decision win over Sean McCalman. So let's start there, Diego. You've had a chance to kind of digest that fight, look back on it, get in the gym and work on some stuff coming off of it. What were your takeaways from that win over McCalman?
It was just a um awkward, hard fight, you know what I mean? Sean McCalman, I feel his game plan was not to win. He was just coming to not let me do what I do. And I guess he did a pretty good job at it because I wasn't able to get off as much as I'm able to, as much as I would have liked to. And um and just learning from it, you know what I mean? Sometimes fighters are gonna come in and just make your job hard and make it awkward and not let you do what you do. But just working on finding different ways to get around and ultimately land the shots that I want to land and not let him, get anything. And that's really what I've been working on. Just it was hard for me to accept that fight. I didn't go the way I really wanted it to go, but I mean, I got the win, so that's what matters. And now I'm here fighting Selecki, tough fighter, and just happy for the journey so far. I feel every fight I've learned something, and now I'm here.
So I'm sure that there will be future opponents that might look at that McCallman fight and look at some of the success he had early on and try to duplicate it, take you out of your rhythm. And I remember talking to McCallman's team before that fight. One thing they told me was they wanted to just make you uncomfortable, not necessarily with power, but to keep you from getting your feet set, keeping you from throwing the kind of combinations you've had success with. Uh, how do you prevent that from happening again? What have you kind of been working on to stop someone from doing what McCallman was able to have success doing?
Kind of just being a little more patient. I was trying to. I feel like the first few rounds I was trying to just go in there and hurt him. You know what I mean? And I feel like that wasn't the correct way to approach the first few rounds. I should have just been a little more patient. Kind of let him throw as well. I was putting a little bit of pressure on him with my legs, not letting him come forward, and I feel that was something that I could have did differently. I could have just let him come to me, have him kind of work too, you know what I mean? Because like I said, I feel like he knew he couldn't outbox me. He knew he couldn't outpunch me and like outpower me. So he had to do these other little crafty tricks to throw me off. But like I said, I learned from it. It was a good experience. He ended my knockout streak. So, I'm looking to get back on that and yeah, man, just get back to doing what I do.
It was also your first fight as a father. You have a young child,
Mhm.
and that's obviously a huge life event. Did you have you learned anything about kind of finding the best way to balance being focused on your training and also being the best father you can be? And after having that experience.
Yes, for sure, man. Yeah, when I in that last fight, my baby was only 2 months, so it was like new to me, you know what I mean? And now she's about to be 7 months, so it's have a little more experience now being a father. It's kind of more like my regular life now, and of course just learning how to balance the training and coming home to my daughter and being here for her and my wife as well. It's for sure been a learning experience, and now I felt great. I feel like I've learned to balance them and learn how to stay focused when I'm in the gym and how to come home and be here with them. I feel great, man. Honestly, the support I get from my wife and my baby just makes me feel amazing. It makes me feel grounded and 100% focused on what I have to do, man. It's just a big motivation.
So you get through that fight with McCallman, and you're highly ranked by all four of the major sanctioning bodies, number one by the WBO. Were you hoping to get a big fight after that win, or did you go into that period kind of understanding that you'd still have to kind of stay busy to get those opportunities?
I've for my past three fights, I've been trying to get big fights, bigger than what I've gotten, and we had some pretty big names for this fight. here with Suleki, but they didn't end up happening. So we went with Suleki, and if it was, I feel great, man. I feel when I'm in the gym, I feel amazing. When I'm sparring, I feel great. I'm doing 12, 13 rounds, and I feel good. And I'm sparring high level guys. You know what I mean? So that gives me the confidence and just shows me that I'm ready for whoever really, and if it was up to me, I'd take the fight with anyone. You can ask Kevin Rooney, ask any of those guys at Matchroom. They brought up names, and I'm like, hey, let's do it. Let's make it happen. That's what I'm in the sport for, to to
Who's
to be number one.
who's the name that you hope that might say yes? Like the guy at the top of the list that you hoped would say yes before this Selecki fight was made.
The guy that we're mainly talking about making the fight with was the guy fighting Munguia now,
Mm.
the Canadian guy. That was a fight that was to what they told me was it was already agreed. It was already a done deal. But I guess, he got that Munguia offer and he took that route instead, which is fine, It's cool, man. We have time to make all those fights happen. So, let the best man win in that fight. And, hopefully even Munguia would be a great fight. There's a lot of names, of course. I was also after the that fight fell off with that Canadian fighter. We're talking about Sajo.
Mm.
I think that's how you say his name, Sajo. The guy from I believe he's from France.
Kevin, yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah. So that was another guy. I think he's like 23-0 with like 22 knockouts, so that would have been a great fight as well. A lot of people when there was rumors about me and him negotiating, a lot of comments were saying that he was gonna like knock me out and stuff, so that really pumped me up to take a fight with him. And I told Kevin Rooney, let's make it happen, let's do it. And then he ended up saying he was gonna go down to 160 and not fight at 168 anymore. So we went with Suleki, and Suleki, from the beginning, he took the fight, and just a good fighter. My respects for him for taking the fight, and now it's time to go to war Saturday.
Yeah, and I don't know how you feel, but when the Selecki fight was made, obviously I would have loved to have seen you with Mungia, with Berlanga, with Christian Abili, any of those guys that are Eric Bazinian, of course, who you were talking about there as a top guy. But as far as guys to take fights against, I like the Selecki one because Selecki has been in with some of the best guys at 160, has not been knocked out before, comes to fight, for the most part in his fights. And look, if we're being honest, like when he comes to fight, he gets hit and gets knocked down. Right? Like he got knocked down by Jacobs, by Andrade, twice by Gabe Rosado. So it feels to me from the outside like this is not only a credible opponent for you, it's an opponent that gives you a great opportunity to really look good against.
Exactly. Yeah. When I started to, because I did see his fights in the past, because he's fought with Matchroom, and I'm good friends with Rosado. I remember when he fought him. I remember when he fought Boo Boo, and and I really didn't pay too much attention to him till now, and I've rewatched his fights, and he's a good fighter, and like you said, I feel like he's a perfect style for me. The way I box and the way I move and my combinations, I think it's gonna be a great fight. Like you said, he comes to fight. He's gonna come to win, and that's what makes for a good fight. So I'm just excited, man. I feel better than ever, man. I feel strong. I feel focused, and I'm just ready to put on a great show and get back to my knockout ways.
You're in Los Angeles, getting set to headline once again LA, which I know is means a lot to you. Growing up
Sure.
in South Central and being able to headline. I saw you were in the LA area a couple of weeks ago watching your brother in the ring.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
it kind of like to watch your brother in action?
Oh man, it's a crazy feeling, man. Watching my little brother, he's just like my little baby brother to me. He's always gonna be my baby brother. So just watching him, it makes me a little. I remember back then I'd get a little nervous because my brother, he's been boxing as long as I've been boxing, but he doesn't have the amateur background that I do. He doesn't have that experience, and I feel that's a big factor. I mean, I did close to 80 amateur fights, and I feel like that wasn't even that many, and he only did three and turned pro. You know what I mean? So for some time, I'd be a little worried, like man, like he might be missing a little experience, but man, I'm super proud of the way he's been developing, the way he's been looking, in sparring and in his fights. It makes me proud, man. He's a hell of a fighter, and he's only going to keep getting better, and I'm here to keep pushing him and keep motivating him to keep chasing his dreams.
I watched that last fight, fifth round knockout, good win by your brother. I do notice that your brother weighs 100 pounds more than you. Like, did he just go for seconds a lot at that dinner table? Like, how does that happen?
Like I said, when growing up, he was always the baby in the house, what I mean? So my dad really didn't push him as much as he did with me. He was always, like I said, the baby. He was more just with my dad, and I was the one that was always waking up early to go run and do all these things. And I don't know, man. He was just always, since we were little, he's always been a big boy. He's always been a little chunkier than me. I've always been skinny, and he's always been a little chunkier. And now, remember it came to a point where he passed me in height, and he was just way bigger than me. So when we spar now, like you said, he's 100 pounds over than me, more than me. So even when I block a shot, it'll like hurt my neck because he's hella strong. But man, I'm excited for him. He's an up and coming heavyweight, and he weighs in at 260. So and he moves good for his weight. He has quick feet. I feel like it's just in us. Like even me as a super middleweight who's 6'4". I feel like I don't move like a guy who's 6'4". I move like a guy who's a lightweight, you know what I mean, or something like that. I feel like even when I did other sports, compared to the guys my height, they couldn't move like me. And I feel like that's just in me, and the same thing with my brother. He doesn't move like a guy who's 6'5", 260. And I just feel like that's the God-given abilities that we were blessed with, and we got to take full advantage of it.
Hey, you guys move like basketball players, which I know you were playing
Yeah, we both
basketball
love basketball.
back in those days. Before I let you go, you're number one for that 168-pound title. It's going to be on the line 2 weeks after your fight when Canelo takes on Edgar Berlanga. I'm sure you've been asked about this a lot, but what are you expecting from Canelo Berlanga? I mean, it was kind of a spicy press tour, that's for sure. But are you expecting a competitive fight?
I feel like it'll be competitive maybe the first 2 or 3 rounds, and then after that, Canelo would just start controlling the fight, and I feel like Canelo will knock him out. But I mean, boxing and anything can happen, so we'll see. I'll be tuned in for sure.
What do you think is your pathway to that world title? Like, one theory I've had, and I've told people, around Matchroom, is like, hey man, keep an eye on whatever Vladimir Shishkin and William Skull are doing in a couple of months, because those guys are going to fight for a vacant title at 168, and that could be just a belt for sale, basically, to the winner of that. Is that? I mean, do you look at that fight as being potential for you to fight the winner?
For sure. Like I said, I told all the guys down at Matchroom who are in control of my career that I want to get there sooner than later. You know what I mean? I feel like now everyone knows that I have the skills. Everyone knows what I can do. Everyone knows I can punch, I can box. And now it's just a matter of getting these guys in the ring with me, of getting these top names in the ring with me. I feel like that's the missing piece in my career right now. I really don't have a big name in my resume yet. And I've been trying to make these fights. I've been trying to get these fights with these names, but they see me as a high risk, low reward fighter at the moment, and which is understandable. I told um I told Eddie and all these guys, man, give me Edgar Berlanga 2 years ago, and and they kind of just like rub it under the rug. They don't really say anything about it. And now, I guess that was the plan for them to make that fight with Canelo. They made that fight, and now hopefully they give them to me after. And then we'll start that journey to the titles.
To get those titles at 168, you got to stay obviously at 168. 6'4" is what you measure out at. I mean, how is it making that weight right now?
Easy, man. I woke up at 173 today.
Wow.
So just like I'm there already, and I feel good. I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner yesterday. I had my workouts, and I feel great. I feel good, man. Honestly, 168 is just like easy money.
6'4", you're one of the few guys like I'm eye level with in the ring afterwards interviewing, which I always like.
Yeah.
Looking down. Always.
Yeah.
Diego, looking forward to this fight on Saturday. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
think you always come to fight. I think Seletsky's going to come to fight. And I think it's a great opportunity for you to look really good in a fight like this and give you some momentum going into the next one. Good luck on Saturday, and we'll see you at the venue.
Thank you, Chris. I'll see you Saturday, bro.